These child predator stings, how long have you guys been doing that, and kind of how did you guys get involved with all of
We've
this?
been doing them a little over a year now. We've partnered up with Chris Hansen through a friend of mine who has a podcast, and he has several, um, celebrity types on there. And one day he just wanted to introduce me to. He wanted to introduce me to Chris Hansen because number one, obviously he works with law enforcement in a lot of capacities, and also Chris Hansen was wanting to do something in Alabama. He'd never really gotten to do anything in Alabama, so he introduced me, and we got to, talking about how I could, get started. And he introduced me to a man by the name of Chris Swanson, who is the sheriff in Genesee County, Michigan. And they call it a GHOST team, and it's an acronym for Genesee Human Oppression Strike Team. And so he introduced me to them, and he sent some of his deputies down on his GHOST team, and they helped us set up our first sting. And of course, Chris Hansen was there. And then later we went to Genesee County and did some training with them and watched them do an op up there. And so we've just kind of progressed from there. And Chris is always eager to come down and be involved with us.
And how often does he come down? And
We he comes and does. When we do an operation, we'll call him, and we try to do one every quarter, maybe every 6 months. We don't want to get on a regular schedule. We don't want anybody to pick up on our, tools of the trade kind of a thing.
And I don't know how detailed you can get, but can you kind of tell me what goes into a sting like this?
Yeah, so it's actually a lot of moving parts. We have several people that are involved in this that are behind the scenes that usually don't get on camera, which is what they prefer usually. But we have to be very careful about we've sent people to school, to classes, to get trained on how to chat and how to interact and how not to entrap. We have certain things that we have to do to make sure it's not entrapment, to make sure that we're meeting all of the rules of the law, and then make sure that there's an actual crime that they've committed to. And it's not just showing up. Once they start talking about certain things and knowing that it is what they believe to be a minor, then that's where the crime, one of first felonies, actually takes place. And so we have a lot going on with just prepping and planning and finding. We've been using the same, well, not the same. We've used a couple of different houses. There's one that we use pretty regularly, but we're venturing out trying to find other places. But anyway, once we get the location, then we have to do a recon of it and take pictures and make sure that we can use it for logistically if it's going to work out. And so once all of that's in place and we can use it, then we just set the dates up and we start finding these places. I don't really want to go into detail about the places that we go to find or to start chatting, because that could give away some intel. But once we start chatting with individuals looking for, sexual interactions, then our decoys and our investigators that work as chatters, they begin to explain, hey, I'm 15, are you okay with that? And, a lot of people will be like, oh, wow, you're way too young, and then they'll leave. But there's a lot of people that will continue to chat with them that don't show up, and of course there's those that do show up.
So those that chat but don't show up, nothing can happen to them?
Well, we can, and we do our best to try to locate those using IP addresses and things like that. Problem is that a lot of times they're using burner phones and things that can't be tracked. But if it is somebody using their own personal device, whether it be a home computer or a cell phone that they use, and we can track an IP address, then we'll track them down and we can charge them with crimes relating to interacting with minors online and propositioning and things like that.
Mm-hmm. And the people that show up, what are some of the shocking things that you've seen throughout this past year?
So it's obviously the ones that show up that are local, people that are local people that chat and show up. Those have all been really mind-blowing because out of all the people that showed up that were local, not just me, but multiple people here in this department know them when they get out of the car and start walking towards the door. So those have been very jarring. And then, of course, a lot of the chat and the conversation that some of these people have when they believe they're talking to a minor blows my mind that they would think that that kind of conversation is okay with anybody, much less a minor. And, you know, in the last thing that we did, one of the guys that showed up had only been married for 2 weeks. And that one was shocking. And the things that he said in his chats and how he wanted to make it a regular thing and, you know, every week kind of a deal. And like I said, he'd just been married 2 weeks prior to that. And those are the kind of things that you're just like, you know, what's going on in people that they do this?
Mm-hmm. And do you have numbers for like how many?
It would take me a minute to find them, but I could get the numbers.
Okay. And I know that this has been going on for a year. Do you guys plan to do this forever?
Oh, yeah.
How long do you think it's
Yeah, as long as people keep showing up, we'll keep doing them. It's, you know, people don't understand a lot of times how law enforcement works. You know, we really like to be proactive. We really like to stop crime. However, in reality, you know, we have to respond to crime more than anything. We can active patrol as much as we possibly can, but we're still not going to catch a whole lot of things. And we have to respond to 911 calls and then do investigations. And so to be able to actually be proactive, to be able to do something that is going after a crime or going after a criminal and catch them before they do something, you know, heinous, that's very rewarding to everybody here. And we don't get any extra money. In fact, we pay out of discretionary funds and things. They're not cheap to do these things. And nobody here makes any more money because of them, but it's very rewarding personally and professionally when you're able to do something that catches a very bad person before they commit a horrible act.
I know you've talked about it before, other agencies wanting to get involved and learn
Yeah.
from your guys. So
Yeah, we're eager. Anybody who would like to send a representative to be a part, or multiple representatives to be a part of what we're doing, show them how we do it. You know, there's other places out there like we went to get training that we would show them, hey, this is where you need to go to learn how to do what we do. But we would love to let you come and participate in our stings and show you how to do it. You know, conversations with Chris Hansen has shown throughout his 20-some-odd year career of this is that if your agency's not doing it, then the people that are outside of let me say it this way. If you're not doing it, then the criminals are coming to exploit your children. And by us doing it, hopefully there's people that are seeing what we're doing and they don't want to come to Blount County to commit those crimes. And so hopefully by us being proactive in this field, it's pushing those people away from Blount County. Now, if that means we're pushing them out of Blount County, they're going somewhere because they're going to do it. And so I would encourage any law enforcement agency to be a part of something like this.
Mm-hmm. And most of the people that you guys connect with, does it feel like that they're local to Blount County or that they're coming?
They're very close. We've had a few that have shown up that are local to Blount County, but all of the people who have shown up to all of our stings, if they're not from Blount County, they're from a county that touches us. So they're in our area because we limit our outreach when we set up these things. We limit our outreach to a certain mileage. And so all of these people that have come, they come from counties that touch us.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you can say, but how long does the communication go before they usually show up? Is it like one day?
Yeah, sometimes it's very short and sometimes it takes some time. We've had some that our chatters and our investigators will talk to on day one, and then they may not show up to day 2 or day 3. We have some that our chatters will talk to for 30 minutes, they're committed and they're on their way. And so we've had some show up within an hour of of us chatting with them, and some that takes a day or two for them to show up. In the past, when Chris Hansen was doing these 20 years ago, and did his first couple that he didn't collaborate with law enforcement, and he used a group that they would chat for weeks with people. But we have not experienced, and I don't know if that's something we'd ever really want to do, but the chatters that my investigators that do the chatting, a lot of times they'll get out our phones that we use for those stings and just start talking to people. And we had a guy from Tennessee, a police officer from Tennessee, chatting with one of my chatters, not during a sting, just chatted him up and committed and drove down to the place, but there was a law enforcement agency vehicle parked in close to the area where they were supposed to meet, so he chickened out and left, but we were still able to get warrants, and he was arrested and put in federal prison.
Anything else that I may have missed that is important?
You know, we just want to make sure that people that see what we're doing understand that this is, you know, you can imagine I get accused a lot of times of only doing things for political reasons. It doesn't matter what I do. You know, I could set up a DUI checkpoint to try and stop people from driving drunk and killing people on the road, and he's just doing that to campaign or whatever. But our heart is really to protect kids, and you know, we're not perfect. Of course, there's victims, actual victims that in this county that we have to do cases on and to try to arrest their offenders. But if we can really show that this is something we're really active and trying to do the very best we can to stop these things from happening, I hope that people will see that. I'll be honest with you, if we set up a sting and didn't arrest a single person because they said, heck no, I'm not coming to Blount County, that's a win. I'll consider that a success. You know, we want to arrest all the bad guys we can, but if people say, I'm not coming to Blount County because I have an opportunity for me to get arrested and charged with this, then that's a victory.